that better? Can you hear me? All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for that worship this morning. That was awesome, Nathan. And I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but we'll see what God can do. So we are in Exodus chapter 14 this morning. I'm going to read a little section from there. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians'? And then it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid, stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Let us bow. God, thank you for this word from Exodus, God, and we thank you for the example that you've given us there of what not to do, God, and how to react to you. God, be with us today as we hear this message. Let it implant upon our lives and let us do something about it, God. I know this is something I'm struggling with, which is why I've brought the message, and you know that too. And so, help me to be better at not grumbling against you, but to praise you, God. Lord, let me not say anything that's not of you. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, so to give us a little perspective of where we are in the story of the Exodus, the Israelites have just been led out of captivity in Egypt, and they're standing at the Red Sea, and the Egyptian army is bearing down on them, and then they start complaining to God, right? They're like, "What'd you bring us out here for? We're going to die now. Look, they're coming," right? To me, it's really strange that the Israelites are already complaining. Like, what happened right before this was miracle after miracle with the plagues, right? And here they are already complaining, like they totally forgot what just happened. And we know that eventually they get through that Red Sea too, by another miracle of God. And so they get to the other side, and they raise up a song to God in Exodus 15. So here's just a little bit of that song. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang the song to the Lord, saying, "I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song, and has become my salvation. This is my God, and I will praise him, my father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host he cast into the sea, and his chosen officers were sunk in the Red Sea. The floods covered them. They went down into the depths like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, shatters the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow your adversaries. You send out your fury, and it consumes them like stubble." That's Exodus 15, 1 through 7. So they're getting it right now, right? Like, they're complaining to God before the Red Sea. They get across the Red Sea. They raise up a praise to God, and everything's going to be great the rest of their time wandering in the wilderness, right? I don't know about that, right? Numbers 11, 1 through 20. Now the people complained about their hardship in the hearing of the Lord. Right, one verse in, they're already complaining again. And when he heard them, his anger was aroused. Then fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. When the people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So that place was called Taberah, because fire from the Lord had burned among them. The rabble with them began to crave other food, and again the Israelites started wailing and said, "If only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost, and the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. And y'all are probably getting ready for lunch now, right? But now we have lost our appetite. We got nothing to eat but this manna. The manna was like coriander seed and looked like resin. The people went around gathering it and then ground it in a hand mill or crushed it in a mortar. They cooked it in a pot or made it into loaves, and it tasted like something made with olive oil. And when the dew settled on the camp at night, the manna also came down. Moses heard the people of every family wailing at the entrance of their tents. It's like the third time they're complaining now, right? In this section. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you, that you put the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive them? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms as a nurse carries an infant to the land you promised on oath to their ancestors? Where can I get meat for all these people?" They keep wailing to me, "Give us meat to eat. I cannot carry all these people by myself." So now Moses is complaining too, right? "The burden's too heavy for me. If this is how you're going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me if I have found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own ruin." The Lord said to Moses, "Bring me 70 of Israel's elders who are known to you as leaders and officials among the people. Have them come to the tent of meeting, that they may stand there with you. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will take some of the power of the Spirit that is on you and put it on them. And they will share the burden of the people with you, so that you will not have to carry it all alone. And tell the people, consecrate yourself in preparation for tomorrow, when you will eat meat." So the Lord heard when you wailed, "If only we had meat to eat, we were better off in Egypt. And now the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat it." So Lord answers their request. Probably not in the way they want it, though. Verse 19, "You will not eat it for just 1 day or 2 days or 5 or 10 or 20 days. You will eat it for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and you loathe it. Because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and you have wailed before him, saying, 'Why did we ever leave Egypt?'" That's probably not the answer they wanted, right? Like, "God, give us some meat." "Oh, you're gonna give us some meat, huh? Like for a whole month? Like that's all we get now? Like I kind of want the manna still a little bit. Like have a roll on the side of manna, right?" Nope, he's giving them meat. Like, don't you think this is ridiculous? You read this story and you're like, they've seen so many miracles. How are they so complaining? How can they still complain to God and not know that whatever problem they're facing, he's going to come through for them, right? He's going to provide for them. Because he's done it before. He did it to get them out of Egypt. He did it to get them across the Red Sea. He provided daily food for them falling from the sky. That's a miracle right there. And then they didn't like that food, and so they started complaining. Like, how did they do this? I don't know. I just see the Israelites in this moment, I think, how silly can they be, right? How can you see something so incredible and still complain to God? Saying, hey, well, at least we had meat back in Egypt, right? Even though we were going through all kinds of adversity, at least we got the food we wanted. Like, who does that? Well, you probably know where I'm going now, right? If you're anything like me, you do that too. We do the same thing as the Israelites. We have this high moment with God, and everything's awesome. Our relationship's real tight with him, and we're singing praises unto him, and then something happens, and we completely forget about what he's done for us. Right? And we start to wonder, why do these things have to happen in God's plan? I want to go back to the way it was before I was facing this adversity. I liked it then. When in reality, maybe that adversity is trying to grow us. Right? And maybe I'm the only one like this, and maybe this sermon's for me. So y'all just bear with me while I preach to myself, all right? So, but if you can relate, listen up. First thing, complaining is really just forgetting how good God has been. The Israelites and us complain because we quickly move on and forget what God has done for us. Don't forget God's provisions in your life. God's hand is all over your life. Don't forget it because of the momentary thing you're facing. I had this scenario last week, and which kind of led me to preaching this sermon. So, I've been pretty busy lately, a variety of different things. We've had a lot of trips going on. We've had Bible Bowl, we've had Devos, I've been preaching, went out of town in the middle of all that. We had Camp Bacon, like a lot of stuff's been going on. And I basically overbooked myself. So last week I was planning to go to the beach with the young adult group. And I was trying everything to get out of that. I was like, I don't want to do this, right? But I had already told him I was going to drive too. So, I'm stuck. I have to go. And I was telling Jackie this. We were talking about this one day. I said, I really shouldn't go. I have all this going on. I've been gone a lot already. I'm going to be gone coming up this week. Like, I don't want to, it's just too much going on. And, but I really want to go because it's the beach, because that's fun. And I really want to stay true to my commitments, right? And I told him I would drive, but I don't really want to go. And back and forth, right? Like, y'all, I was literally complaining about going to the beach. Like, who does that, right? People that don't like the beach, I guess. But, like, it's a blessing to get to go to the beach, right? I'm forgetting God's blessings. And I was complaining about having to go. I failed to remember how God blessed me with the friends to go with. How God blessed me with a friend that gave us a good deal on a place to stay down there. Like all these things that were all blessings leading to this moment, and I start complaining about it. I was so wrapped up in work and other things going on, responsibilities, that I completely forgot in God. So the complaining was forgetting how good God has been. I did go to the beach. That's why I wasn't here last week. So, just like the Israelites, they had this circumstantial vision, right? They weren't seeing everything. And I was doing the same thing. Could only see what was currently happening. And me and you get the same way. So it leads us to this question. What's got you complaining right now? Is it meetings? A lot of people have meetings at work that drive people crazy, right? Another meeting, or a meeting that's really just needs to be an email, right? There's a lot of those too. Bosses, I'll skip over that one because all my bosses are here, but some of you might relate to that, right? I have great bosses. Complaining about money, right? Not having enough money at the end of the month, whatever it is. People drive me crazy when I'm driving, right? I complain about that a lot. The Wi-Fi's slow in church when I'm trying to watch the football game in the middle of this guy speaking, right? The battery on your phone's going out at the same time, like, oh, there's all this complaints going on, right? Your team's losing. Most of y'all's team's going to lose today against my Broncos, right? It's kind of bold to wear that, I'm sorry. Your fast food order's wrong, who gets that all the time, right? Go through the drive-thru, they never get it right. And you complain about it instead of, hey, I got food, right? I can afford this food. You're complaining about your kids, parents, or kids complaining about their parents, right? There's a lot of complaints going on. Maybe you're complaining about the guy up here preaching about you complaining, right? Like, I don't want to hear about that. So we have a term for these kind of insignificant complaints that we have, and they call it first world problems. Has anyone heard that term before? Hashtag first world problems. So I want you guys to check out this video. It's about first world problems, and hopefully it kind of inspires you. Is it on there? There we go.
I hate when my phone charger won't reach my bed.
I hate when my leather seats aren't heated.
When I go to the bathroom and I forget my phone.
Le mette radio dans machine à laver, je commence à sentir.
I hate it when my house is so big. I need 2 wireless washers.
When my gun makes my hot water taste too cold.
When I have to write my maid a check, but I forget her last name.
Je ne peux pas écrire message dans ma machine en même temps.
Je te quitte casse-moi en bas.
Moi, raï, mes voisins ont bloqué Internet là.
I hate it when I tell them no pickles and they still give me pickles.
It kind of puts things in perspective when you hear third world people reading the problems that we often complain about. And it's kind of silly, but it also makes a good point, right? That first world problems, like it said at the end of the video, are not problems. This is actually a video that's an advertisement for clean water and a company that raises funds for that. So, but it really just hits you like, oh, my complaints are kind of insignificant, right? And that's not to say that we don't have stuff to complain about, but there's stuff in life. There's stuff in life that's just downright awful, but there's also stuff in life that are just insignificant, first world problem complaints. It's really just saying we always have something to be thankful for, right? Complaining is forgetting what God has done. And so not complaining is remembering there's always a blessing going on in our lives. So don't let your current situation determine your attitude, which is why in Philippians 2, as you see up there, we're told to do everything without complaining. Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky. So the second thing is, complaining hinders our witness. If we say things without grumbling or complaining, it says we will shine among them like stars in the sky. But if we don't do that, what are they going to see? They're just going to see the complaining, right? If all the world sees of Christians is complaints, why would they want to be a part of that? But if they see joy in all circumstances and doing everything without grumbling or arguing, like James and Paul describe respectively, they will say, that's an attitude and outlook on life that I want. How do I get what that guy has? And that's when you have that opportunity to share what God has done in your life to give you that kind of positivity and look on life. Which leads us to the last point. If we aren't supposed to grumble and complain, what are we supposed to do? Be happy, right? I spend a whole lot of my day grumbling and complaining, so what am I supposed to do with all that time if I'm going to get rid of that, right? Because it doesn't just work to stop something. You got to replace it with something, which is what Paul continues on in his letter to the Philippians. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. So we need to not only stop complaining, but also start dwelling on the things that Paul describes here, right? What is true, what is right, what is pure, what is noble. Because the fact of the matter is this, the things we think about become the things we do. So get this is some crazy information I found while preparing for this lesson, and it blew my mind, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So there's research by Dr. Travis Bradbury, and it shows that complaining actually rewires our brain. That's kind of crazy, right? So basically your brain loves efficiency and doesn't like working harder than it has to, right? My whole body's kind of like that. When you repeat a behavior such as complaining or something like that, your neurons branch out to each other, kind of ease that flow of information. So it makes it much easier to repeat the behavior in the future. So easy, in fact, that you probably don't even realize you're doing it. So think of it this way. there's a river, you need to get across the river. You don't build a temporary bridge, right? Because if it's something you're going to repeatedly do, you don't build a temporary bridge. You build a permanent bridge. It's something you repeatedly do, you construct something more permanent, right? Our brain's doing the same thing. Our neurons are growing closer together. If we repeatedly do an action, it's going to build a bridge between them that's going to be more permanent. So, scientists kind of like to describe this process as neurons that fire together, wire together. So, repeated complaining rewires your brain to make future complaining more likely because you built that bridge over time, right? But the same is true the opposite is also true, right? If we repeatedly think about those things in Philippians 4:8, whatever's true, whatever's noble, whatever's right, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy, then our brain would be more likely to rewire in that way and build a more positive outlook. So, we don't need to just stop complaining, we also need to start thinking positively. Because, like I said, the things we think about become the things we do. So, if we don't do these things, we're going to be like the Israelites in the desert, right? After miracles and after blessings that God has given us, we're going to find something to complain about as soon as something maybe even small goes bad. But if we do this, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to be, like Paul describes, always thinking about whatever's true, whatever's pure, whatever's noble, whatever's excellent or praiseworthy. Having that positivity in your life. And it's going to radiate, right? So quit complaining. Dwell on what's true, noble, pure, right, lovely, and admirable. Don't forget the blessings that God's given you. And don't let complaining hinder your witness. Instead, be more positive and always just see how good God has been to you. This is something I just thought about, but I'm going to try this week to not complain. So we'll see how long I last, because I'm going to the airport on Tuesday, so there'll probably be something, right? If my flight gets delayed or something. But I'm going to try to not complain, and I want y'all to keep me accountable, those when you see me. Try not to complain, because God has blessed me so well. He's done so much for me, and I got a lot more good in the world than evil in the world to think about. So, if you need to pray for a change of attitude in that area about complaining, and maybe get a new attitude of thankfulness and positivity, or if you need to give your life to Christ and through baptism or anything like that, if you would come forward.